Today, we're going to be talking about why AI is going to take your job. No, we're going to talk about whether AI will take your job or whether it will replace certain people who don't know how to use AI. And from that intro, I think you know what my bias is. So I want to start off by saying there's a lot of people who are scared of AI, which I mean is fair. You know, AI is a new technology. Just like the internet was a new technology, there was a lot of people who were a bit scared of what the internet could do. And to be fair, it can do a lot of things that are better than before the internet. And so AI is the same way. It can do a lot of insane things that the internet by itself couldn't do. And there's a lot of people who don't really understand AI. And so people are definitely scared that it's going to take their jobs. One thing that I really want to mention is I don't think that it will replace everyone. I think that it will replace the people who don't know how to use it to make their job more efficient. So I actually want to ask you, Josh, in what ways do you make your job more efficient using AI? And I know specifically Perplexity, but yeah, I'd love to hear more about that.
We, a coworker and I, have been experimenting with the new, is it 5? ChatGPT 5?
5.2. Yeah.
Yeah, 5.2, which seems to finally be good enough to be able to handle math of any kind. And I had a project recently where it was like payments and deposits were batches of payments, but it was not obvious how many payments go into each deposit. And throw in some Excel sheets, and it seemed to handle it very easily. I've also seen some people starting to use it for categorization of transactions. And it's not perfect, but it's pretty good. So we're constantly monitoring, like, when is this going to be good enough to actually pick up some low-level work for us? Because so much of our job is not just rogue categorization, and that would really free up a lot of time for us to be able to do that. So that is something we're looking forward to, although it has not been there yet. The other thing is, the other day, my coworker had a run-in with a new entity structure, which it's new to us, but we knew it existed. Anyway, we had a batch of legal documents that kind of outlined the structure and our clients wanting to get out of using this entity. And so I'm paying for Perplexity, just threw the documents in there, and then was like, give me a synopsis of these. How do we generally end this entity and roll out of it properly so we don't get hammered? Yeah. And so that is another case that you got a batch of documents and you need to synopsis pretty quickly to give the client some ideas. Obviously, we're not lawyers, so we were like, if you're actually going to do this, you should probably go talk to legal counsel. But from our understanding of reading this, and there was something else I was thinking, but I can't.
For the audience, you do bookkeeping, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
As your
bookkeeping and anything else you're willing to pay hourly for.
More like your 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., not a 9 to 5. But one question I have is, would you say that you're the best bookkeeper out there? And
no.
So, and that's kind of my point is, you may not be the best bookkeeper out there, but I think you can get things done way faster than so many bookkeepers out there. And I'm not trying to hammer after certain people, but specifically the older bookkeepers who have a certain way of doing things and aren't used to QuickBooks Online. They're not used to automatic rule categorization. They're not used to using Perplexity or ChatGPT to answer questions and do math. They may be better at the skill of bookkeeping itself. Like, they can do debits and credits better in their head. But overall, they're not as efficient with the job. And so I think that's where this whole will AI take my job conversation lands. Is another one I can think of is like graphic designers. So there are probably tons of graphic designers who are really good, but are a bit on the older side and don't want to use AI, which is, I mean, hey, that's okay. You don't have to. But there's also going to be lots of graphic designers who do want to use AI and pump out tons of really high quality stuff way faster because they bring their own experience and they bring AI. They can use AI to create things faster, and they're going to be the ones who get more clients, get things done faster, make more money. Whereas the people who don't use AI will probably get pushed to the side and may not have as many clients. Which, I mean, if that's what they want, then that's totally fine. But I think that that's like the main argument I have as to whether AI will replace people is it will power up the people who use it, and it will tend to put the people who don't use it more to the side, and they won't bring as much value to their companies. So,
Yeah, I definitely see, like, for the low cost providers, it pushing them out of the market, or at least making them a little more supervisory than whatever it was they were doing before. So in the case of graphic designers, which I have no experience in, so let me just talk about something I know nothing about, the ability to push out a first draft. Been thinking about this sort of thing. Give me this color scheme, make it look kind of like this, and populate something. So you can just throw ideas up against the wall, or even just different ideas to show to a client before you put the finishing touches on it. But if you're just generating ideas, if that's all you're doing, if you're a low cost provider of logos or whatever, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it takes much of the market where you were. Or in my thinking about my tax business, 5.2, I watched a video of a guy using 5.2, and he had an Excel spreadsheet where each tab was a different like tax form, and then was able to, I can't remember if he just uploaded the raw documents, PDFs, and this 5.2 was, I think he was using an agent in agentic mode. And it was able to fill out the spreadsheet with like, oh, here's the stuff on the W-2, put it on the W-2 form. Here's the stuff on the whatever, put it on the whatever sheet. I think there will still be limitations around AI is like trained to do somewhat repetitive things. So it's probably going to be really good at W2 and less good at, I don't know, whatever an updated form is. But I'm sure that will improve over time. But the point being, like, data entry is the lowest. Collecting documents and data entry for my tax stuff is the lowest form of work, which is the part that I would love to farm out. Now, you can make an argument for if you're collecting stuff from a client, like you're getting some sort of interaction. But in today's day and age where people just upload things to a portal, that's not really the case. And yeah, entering a W-2, shouldn't have to do that. It's just plugging numbers in. And I'm charging hourly for plugging numbers in.
This is a little bit of a tangent, but have you tried different softwares that can automatically pull the info using AI? Because I know one of my other friends, actually it's my cousin's husband, he is a CPA. He's using some kind of software that does that. Have you ever tried to find any?
No, there is a software I'm considering using this year. I don't remember how much they've developed as far as pulling stuff off of documents. It supposedly does some of that. And like when the client uploads a document, it'll identify what kind of document it is and pull some key facts. But I've not tried it yet. That's on my list of things to test this year. I do know there are current softwares that they don't actually pull from a document that your client gave you. What it does is it's like a subscription, and you subscribe, your client brings you a W-2. When you put in your client's social and name or whatever, so it'll go to ADP or whatever your payroll provider is and contact them for information and then pull it into the software. I remember that not being the cheap, like it's made for high volume stuff. So if you're doing 100, 200, 300 tax returns a year, then it's probably priced well for that. But the subscription was a little hefty. I can't even remember how much it was. But no, I will be looking for something like that because I think that is a great development. And really, I'm wanting to move to doing more complex tax returns anyway, like the business side, like I texted you about, which is the stuff that AI can't handle anyway. I mean, that's the interesting space.
Yeah.
At this point, in America, most people should be able to just like upload their documents to a software and have it spit out, here are your options for your taxes for this year.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Another piece of this whole AI conversation, I think, is creativity, which kind of goes with the graphic design and why I think that graphic design will be boosted by AI and not just replaced. So I was listening to, it was the My First Million podcast, and one of the hosts was talking about, or he was talking to a guest, and the guest said that his son was using AI to create a video game at like 14. So he had the whole idea in his head, but it would have taken probably 2 years for him to go through to get the education and fundamentals of how to actually build the game. But because he had an original idea, used AI, he created it in like a month. So in my opinion, in my mind, I think AI can actually bolster the creativity side of humanity, I guess. It can also be dangerously close to taking away the creativity side, but that's if we over rely on AI. So I think the big distinction is use it to provide more value and to help you be more creative. Don't use it as your creative brain, if that makes sense. I mean, it can help you think of ideas, but you also need to bring your own original ideas to the conversation with AI. It can just help you implement them faster. So it's not necessarily the original idea brain. It's the how do I implement this brain? So that's another big piece, because I think creativity is important. And if we over rely on AI, then it's going to be all gone and no one's going to be creative anymore. So, yeah.
On that, I actually ran into a article yesterday. It was a piece of research. Who did it? I don't know. I'll look it up later. But because I wanted to go back and read it. But the research was taking two groups of people, and one of them was writing their essay, just here's access to the web, write an essay about whatever. And then the treatment group was using ChatGPT, I don't know what model, to assist in writing. Now, it was unclear to me if it was to what extent, write me an essay about, or if they were required to write some portion and then could have AI fluff it up or edit. I don't know, which is kind of why I would like to read the full article. And they said that like 83 or 80 some percent, it was over 80, of the people who wrote with AI could not quote from their own essay. And when asked questions about their essay, had like very little ability to pull any ideas together from it. And the really interesting part to me was they switched them. So the people that had written an essay then wrote with ChatGPT, and the people that wrote with ChatGPT then switched to writing just how we have for the last 20 years with Google. And the team that started with GPT still had the same problem. And I don't know how long the time was between the two essays. So then the conclusions of the paper were kind of going over why would this be? Is it just that you're moving from a mode of just collecting to trying to synthesize, and there's some stickiness between in transitioning between those two things, versus the team that started with, I'm going to go find information, I'm going to analyze it, and then I'm going to write about it in a linear fashion. So that was an interesting example, although, like I said, I've not read the full thing, so take it for what you will.
Yeah.
About how like the creative process of writing is the part that's valuable.
How do you think that transcends into other avenues, like drawing or music creation or podcast creation? No, just the other avenues of creativity. Do you think it would be similar? Like if someone was drawing a picture, I mean, pictures are a little easier to think about and explain, but someone using Chat GPT to draw a picture versus them drawing it themselves and then switching, do you think it would be a similar thing that happens in that
I
area?
imagine that there will be a space in which there are AI artists that all they do are specialized prompt engineers. Like that they're artists, but all they do is they're really good at prompting and they have a vision of what they want to see made and they work with AI to do it. Now, how much they get paid to do that or what their jobs look like, I don't know. But I also can't imagine that the 1% of AI artists are as valuable as the 1% of painters or people who draw or whatever. And I think we've chatted about this, but my wife and I have chatted about this. I'm extremely utilitarian. I don't really know anything about art or want art or anything in that matter. But I would pay handsomely for a oh, I can't even think of his name. The guy that did all the World War II like the Campbell soup advertiser. What was his name? Not Warhol, was it? Andy Warhol. Um, but anyway, the point being, I'm paying for the ability. No, it's not Andy Warhol. Oh my gosh, I can't even think of his name. I feel like an idiot. But he was very good at getting a realistic looking art style and also capturing little details of real life that he would then accentuate in his paintings or
Yeah,
drawings. And like that's why I'm paying for the piece of art, because a human did this and that's very impressive and it communicates something. Now I could go out and buy an AI piece that communicates something, but it's much less valuable. There's not much different between me buying something that is designed by AI versus going to the at-home store and picking up some canvas that somebody threw a little paint on and mass produced.
true. Yeah.
And I imagine it's going to be the same thing with music or writing, where AI is good at spitting out different things and you can prompt it to spit out different things, but they're all kind of going to be similar to whatever the center of the genre is, because by definition it's trained to be the aggregate. And they said that about this article where people were writing, is that the essays were much more similar because it was all written by the same AI, whereas the ones that were essays that were written by people were varied.
Yeah.
And I can't predict what kinds of new music will come out that humans will produce. Like at one point, bluegrass didn't exist, and then it did.
You know what's crazy is I know at least for country and for the Christian genres, AI an AI song was the top song for both of those for a while,
Really?
which is super. It's weird because it's really annoying, but like the song's actually good in terms of it sounds good, but it's still
Sure.
really annoying because no human created it. So it's just, and there was also I think an artist like a or maybe it was a band or something that was fully AI generated, and they had 2 million monthly listeners on Spotify. It was it was crazy, and people didn't even know that it was AI, and then the music industry got mad about that. So, which is fair. I mean, lots of people work really hard on music, and some AI band is gonna come and double their Spotify streams. Like that's tough. So I get it.
But that does kind of make sense with the AI thing, though. Like, your popular songs should be able to be emulated by AI because by definition they're the most listened to, probably the most emulated. But it's like your weird artistic friend that goes and lives in the dump part of town. He's on the bleeding edge of starting the new popular place. He goes out to the edges of society or explores the edges of creation in a space and experiments with new things. And 99.9% of what he tries is dumb and no one will care about. But he's going to collect around him other artistic people, and then the people who are slightly more business oriented and have money but are still artistic are going to see that and move into that space. And it a lot of the innovation is always on the edges, and then eventually everybody else comes through and gentrifies the neighborhood, and then it just becomes a suburb.
Yeah. So now that we have laid a foundation for what we believe about what AI will do with jobs, what are the best ways that people can learn how to improve their AI abilities? Not necessarily coding or super technical stuff, but just basic using an AI model like ChatGPT or Perplexity in order to make their work more efficient. I have a couple things that I want to mention first. One is just use it. The more you use it, the better you'll get at it. You'll figure out what inputs are going to lead to trash outputs and what inputs are going to lead to actual decent outputs. Another thing is there are courses everywhere. So I've taken a couple courses on AI, and they were a bit more technical because I want to do more with my business and help other businesses implement automated workflows, which tends to be a bit harder than just working with an LLM. But I mean, YouTube probably has too many courses on how to get the best outputs from Perplexity or ChatGPT, or how to use it in certain business situations. I would say on YouTube, even look up your specific niche. So if you work, let's say bookkeeping, how to use AI better in bookkeeping, there's probably going to be hundreds of videos that come up and that you can watch. So those are two big things for me that I think would help people use AI better, which then bolsters their value for their company or whoever they work for, or if they work for themselves, then themselves.
Right. Well, you talked about this before. My thing is like replace Google. Don't start using AI instead of Google. And is it going to be perfect? Maybe not, but it's getting much better. And I mean, now Google's very good with their AI synopses, but it's a good way to just test out a different, whether it be GPT or Perplexity, and start using it for something you're using anyway. You Google things all the time, and you can start to get your feet wet that way. As far as using it for other things, I feel like image generation. Hey, I've got this photo, but somebody's hand is, I don't know, it looks like it's sticking out of my head. Can you remove it? That's also a thing that people, I think, are probably using already, especially Android's integrated is it Nano Banana, into their system. And it's just weird. It's so weird. But yeah, replace your search with an AI, mess around with image generation a little bit. And for most people, I feel like that's a good starting spot. I'm probably a bad person to ask this question because I've not watched any videos about proper prompt engineering or whatever. But when I have tasks at work that are repetitive or whatever, I'll throw it into AI that I pay for and is not training data in, or I'll throw stuff in that has no personal identification on it
Yeah.
and
I
mess
mean, I
around with
would
it.
say that you have gotten the experience of, like, you don't necessarily know prompt engineering specifically, but you know what a bad prompt is and what a good prompt is because you've been
Yeah.
using it and you have the experience of, yeah, this is a trash output and this is a good
Yeah.
output.
Yeah. This is
So,
useless.
yeah, you got anything else?
Nope. That's it.
All right. Make sure to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel and hopefully give us a 5-star review on Spotify. And then send us an email. We want to know what topics you guys want us to talk about. jc.unscripted@gmail.com. So that's the pod.